Welcome back to the new video from our Middle-earth series. Today we'll be looking at the region of Misty Mountains with a special focus on elves living on both sides of this north-south running mountains ridge. We will change the system a little bit and we'll start with something like a small history window to get us into the background of what, where and why is all happening, as is mentioned in the later parts. Let's start with who exactly is Celebrian. Celebrian was an elven noblewoman. She was born in the Second Age after her mother Galadriel refused to return to Valinor and remained in Middle-earth with her husband Celeborn. At first they lived in Eregion, but moved to Lothlorien in due time. During wars with Sauron, they went to help elves in Hollin, but had to find refuge in the newly established Rivendell, where she met Elrond the Half-Elven, and after some time married him. She bore him twin sons, Eladan and Elrohir, and then a daughter called Arwen. Both Celebrian and her child travelled between Rivendell and Lothlorien from time to time, but during one of these trips with Arwen to visit her parents in later Third Age, they were ambushed and captured by orcs in the Redhorn Gate. Her company was scattered or killed, and both elven ladies were dragged into the dark tunnels. As soon as word of this disaster reached Elrond, he sent out the scout and rescue parties, and that is where we stand now. Before we start, let's go quickly through the rules. We are playing the 2-deck game of Middle-earth collectible card game. The deck can contain between 30 to 50 resources and equal number of hazards. There is 12 creature minimum, while dragon, long and permanent events count as half of a creature each. And also we'll be using a sideboard of 25 cards. Now, when we have that out of the way, let's begin. When we have a look at the sites we'll be using, you can see that there are mostly orc holds in Misty Mountains, with few sites in Arnor, Gundabad and Angmar. We will use all the heavens with the exception of Edelund. But for many items in this deck, we'll also have to go underneath the surface, not only into the inhabited orcish strongholds, but also into the ancient tunnels beneath them. So prepare for a lot of fighting, as many a side will be strongly defended, and we can meet anything alive or undead. On the other hand, facing many creatures means we can be accumulating kill points, and that gives extra edge to this deck. We will start our journey in aforementioned Rivendell. There are two ways you can start this game. In both eventualities, Elrond sends for his best he has as soon as he hears the news. I have decided to go with Glorfindel II, the strongest warrior remaining in Middle-earth, twin brothers Eladan and Elrohir, and Gildor Inglorion. You can see this group is predetermined to use strength, not subterfuge, with having 3 warrior rangers and 1 warrior sage, while having no scouts and diplomats. And this is in accordance with the main topic of hunting down the orcs and finding the prisoners. As minor items, we have Elfstone and Elven Cloak. The second version of the starting company is again Glorfindel, but this time comes Elrond himself and Orofin representing the one elf to bring in the news of Celebrian's and Arwen's capture. This time we'll have Elven Cloak and Dagger of Westerness as minor items. You can choose yourself if you want to send Elrond forth and adjust the deck accordingly, leaving out one of the characters and switching minor items. In our first version goes the first organization phase like this. Glorfindel takes an Elven Stone and influences Gildor, wearing an Elven Cloak. That's all. We have 4 points of free general influence, and now we can start exploring. Because we are not built for concealment and are not equipped with weapons for brutal force solutions, try to get the first items in easier sites like Barrow Downs or even Moria before entering the Underdeeps. Let's have a look which characters we have in the play deck. 2 copies of ALATAR as our wizard. Then Elrond, of course, because he would want to save his wife. Then some help from Grey Heavens in Círdan and Galdor. a group of elves from Lorien, namely Celebrian's parents, Galadriel and Celeborn, with them Haldir and Orofin. Then Arwen as a first rescued prisoner, and finally some Dúnedain help in Aragorn and Halbarad. Quite an impressive company, you could say, but many of those characters will be discarded right away if nothing serious happens. And if something bad does happen, you have enough strong warriors to finish the mission in the deck. What will help us on our way? The point-giving resources consist mainly of items, as we will need every battle advantage as possible. Only one ally is present, Goldberry, whose skill in cancelling attacks will prove useful. Because I expect a great problem with free general influence, there is only one faction, Elves of Lindon. If Elves of Lorien or of Rivendell existed, they would be here too, but because those were not created, we'll have to manage without them. As for items, they are the core of this deck. You can see 5 swords present, plus Aeglos, the mighty spear of Gil-galad, the only weapon that makes sense for Glorfindel. But it's hard to get in an Underdeep, Dark or Shadowhold. Dragon Helm and Noldo Lantern are also playable in Underdeeps, so we will have to venture there more than once. The rest are useful minor items. Now to permanent events, which gives us points. As mentioned right at the beginning, we are here to save the prisoners from the orcs. So rescue prisoners is here 3 times. Twice dark numbers, as fighting orcs will be our daily bread, and once dreams of lore. The other resource events are mostly a mix of combat cards, which either help us directly in a fight or indirectly with increasing our abilities. Very useful card is Many Foes He Fought. Glorfindel can thus engage many a strike, and rest of the company will stay untapped. The longer the game progresses, the more of the characters should be able to defeat strikes without tapping, and so we'll be able to divide the company and manage more things at once. None of the cards is actually vital, so discard them freely. Only keep Marvel's Told and also Muster for the Elves of Lindon. Now where to play which resource? When you have a look, there are not many strictly defined sides for the resources. Only Goldberry and Elves of Lindon need to be played on the specified side. The rest of major and greater items could be played on multiple sides. My advice is to go from the easiest to the hardest sides for each item, but bear in mind, you need to ransack the Underdeep side first, and then only tap and discard its surface side. The good news is that you can play 2 items in each of the Underdeeps. Therefore, you needn't visit all of them, if you get the right mix of items in hand. The Rescue Prisoners and Dark Numbers cards can be played as you go. There are many sides you can go for them, so don't worry too much and play them when you feel the time is ripe. If you don't have enough points already, and you should have around 50 at the end of the deck, you can continue playing with the cards from the sideboard. There are 2 more allies if you've lost Goldberry, 1 more faction, Rangers from the north, just to be sure we don't have 0 points in this category, 2 more weapons, and some armor to equip our warriors. Another copy of Dreams of Lore, Elfsong and Escape if needed, and also Bow of Galadrim if you play Ringbraid and want to show him who is the master here. And also The Hunt, a nice card to get you some more kill points when your opponent decides you are too strong to be attacked and discards his creatures. The resources from the sideboard are again easy to play wherever you want, and you can use them to play some of the other point-giving cards you lost in the first round of the deck. Only take care that Tom Bombadil has movement restrictions, so influence him with the right character, for example ALATAR, whom you will keep in Rivendell to join the needy moving company. If you play this deck right, you should be able to muster a lot of points, as this deck is the most generous in this regard from all of those I ever built. 80 points are more of a standard than an exception. So good luck and beat the orcs as soon as you see them. Now, when we have the resource half out of the way, we can focus on hazards. This time, we'll be playing trolls. These creatures of brute force are individually strong, so we don't need to enhance their power much to be effective. On the other hand, you don't need them behind every corner, so keep only those really useful in hand, and discard those you can't even be used in a long time. For example, because your opponent does not visit Darkholds regularly. There are also two of the Nazgul to complement them, mostly because of their special effect as permanent events. And the three very well-known trolls, Tom, Bert and William, should be used together if possible, or at least two of them should attack together, again because of their special skills. The hazard events are a mix of easily playable cards. The key are the Doors of Night with minions stir. These two turn our trolls into killing machines. And the unique troll lieutenants can easily wipe out a whole company of unprepared heroes. Because of the rare playability of the trolls, we focus more on the automatic attacks here. Do not save these cards and either play them or discard them quite freely. When we have a look into the sideboard, there are no additional creatures this time. One point is, there are not as many troll creatures, and secondly, let's make use of the cards that allow them to attack in special regions of Middle-earth, where your opponent would otherwise feel safe. Nice card is the Troll Purse. You can capture one of opponent's characters and keep him prisoner in a side of your choice. I don't need to mention that an attempt to rescue him can lead to a bloodbath when you have your hand prepared. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as well as our previous ones, and that the game of Middle-earth collectible card game will reach a new potential while using our decks. If it is so, please like the video and subscribe to our channel in order not to miss the next one in this series. Because next time we'll be focusing on Ringwraith, namely Wata, who will bring his Easterling horde into Rovanion. And as promised, the winner of the summer game is Alex1, whom we are sending his Adunafel. See you next time.